This is a ministry report from the Ministry of Retro Gaming.
Since Spacies.
G'day invaders, welcome to Since Spacies, and this is yet another ministry report, and this time it's not anything news related. I just thought I'd keep this one very general. I just recently picked up something that has been on my gaming radar for quite some time, and it got me thinking, has there been a game that you've been after for ages, something that's been on your radar but you just couldn't find it at a reasonable price? I've got a couple of examples set up here, but I might throw it to one of you two guys. Do you have any games that you picked up that you couldn't believe it when you saw it and you just grabbed it?
Not. I tend to have to pay for what I want. I'm not very lucky when it comes to bargains. One bargain I was actually looking out for it as well at the time, which was quite lucky, which was the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney on the DS. I know they've released the trilogy on the Switch now, so that's a little bit annoying, which I've also bought after buying them all individually. But it's nice to have on the Switch anyway. And I went into a charity shop, and most of the charity shops near me, they don't have any games whatsoever. A lot of clothes, a lot of books, occasional board game, but not really video games. But they had this one video game, and it was that game I was actually looking out for, which was really lucky. And if you look on eBay, this game goes for, with its manual and everything, if you remember those manuals. About 20 quid, maybe 25, and it was sitting in there for £1.99. So I went up to the counter and the guy said, "Oh, this is a good game, but I'm sorry, there's something with the price." And I was like, "Oh, here we go, he's going to tell me, it's the wrong sticker or something." And he said, "Oh, today it's actually half price, so we're going to give it to you for £1." And I couldn't believe my luck, so yeah, I ended up paying £1 for Ace Attorney. So that was a pretty good bargain. And the only other one I can think of is I've got Battletoads Double Dragon on the NES, box complete with its manual, and that goes for maybe 60 or 70 quid on eBay, and I managed to snag it for 6 or 7 quid. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I haven't even got an NES game at all to boast about in my collection. I've got a couple Famicom games up there, but that's about it. What about you, Grumpy? Anything on your end?
Yeah, this one was a bit of a turn up for the books, really. There was a game for the Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive, that I wanted when it was actually first released, but never got around to actually purchasing it. And nowadays, it seems to sort of go on eBay for maybe £40-50, so the sort of mid-top sort of price range. And in one of my previous jobs, I remember having a conversation with a colleague about Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. And we got onto the subject, talking about the film, how bizarre it was, how absolutely insane the film is, and we got onto the subject of the game, video game version on the Mega Drive. And I just remember commenting that when I was a kid, I really, really wanted that game so much. It's not the greatest game in the world, but I just wanted it because the hype was so intense at the time. And the next day, he just turned up with it at work, and he said, "There you go, you can have this."
That's insane.
It's a complete boxed version just behind me there, just there, of Michael Jackson Moonwalker on the Mega Drive. And sadly, it's not the rare version with the Thriller song in it. I was hoping it was going to be that, but it wasn't. It was the Graveyard level. They changed the song to
Another Part
just
of Me.
Another Part of Me. Yeah, something like that. Because Michael Jackson didn't actually write Thriller. He didn't have the rights to it, so his record company weren't allowed to put it on there. And they put it on there without permission, I think, for a few versions of it, for a few copies of the game, and they had to re-release it with the other music.
Wow.
If it was the one with Thriller on it, then I'd be...
You'd be thrilled.
But thrilled. Yeah. That would be off the wall, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh no. It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad, no.
It wasn't bad at all.
So yeah, I've got a couple examples. Just in the last week, I managed to pick up Phantasy Star 4 for the Genesis, and it's got its manual. And the big deal about this is that it's a cardboard box. You can see it's not exactly mint, but it's good enough for me to sit in my collection. And I've always been a big fan of Fantasy Star 2, 1. I haven't really played 3 too much because I just didn't really think too much of what I saw of it. I will now have to get it because I've now got 1, 2, and 4. I paid $40 for this on eBay, and the reason why I managed to get it so cheap was because I was buying it around Easter, and everyone's focused on family events, and they kind of tune away from buying up retro games. So I think that's the only reason why I managed to pick it up so cheap. But a more interesting one is Sonic and Knuckles. Now, to get this boxed is super hard these days because, once again, towards the end of the Genesis life, they started, instead of putting them out in plastic boxes, they were cardboard. And yeah, great decision, Sega. And I can never find this in a reasonable enough condition and at a reasonable price. But one day I saw this on sale for eBay, and it was going cheaper than Sonic and Knuckles by itself, and it came with Sonic and Knuckles boxed inside. So it was cheaper to buy a console than it was to buy the game, and that's how I ended up with Sonic and Knuckles. So think outside the square, I think, is what I'm trying to get at. Also picked up a Mint Sonic 3 instruction manual, hint guide, sorry, and it's still available. You can go online now and still pick up. The guy's still trying to get rid of them, and it's only like $12, $15.
You mentioned this. I've got to get me one as well. I've got to buy one.
It's still there. They're still going, but I can't imagine you'd have too many more left. And probably the one holy grail where I had to grab it and run out of the shop before they changed their mind was my GameCube that I managed to pick up while in Japan, and it had not been used. It was completely new, and it was going for only like $60, and it came with the Game Boy player underneath.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe my luck. I guess in that case, the only way you can really get bargains is to go to Japan if you really want to do it properly. Yeah, can't wait for my next trip coming up soon. No other stories on that one?
I've got a box Game Gear, which is quite nice.
Oh, right.
Yeah, box Game Boy Color, but they're not, massive. But yeah, the Game Gear's quite
I was
nice.
very close to getting a Game Gear, but I could never get in touch with the guy that owned it to try and convince him to sell it. I know he's got it, and I know he doesn't use it. It's just a matter of convincing him. What about yourself there, Grumpy? Any other ones?
Yeah, there was one Fantastic Dizzy on the Mega Drive, which is absolutely mint condition. It's like it's never been opened. I took a chance with, I'm going to swear right now, I took a chance with buying something from CEX, right? And they had it listed. The listing wasn't complete. It's Fantastic Dizzy Mega Drive. It was lower than what you would usually expect to pay for it on eBay, much lower. And I just took a chance, had some CEX credit, and so I just ordered it. Came through, and it was complete mint. Just happened to be, I don't know whether it's a picking error or what, but it was absolutely awesome. fresh and minty. And I think it only, because I traded some stuff in that I bought in charity shops, it only cost me a few quid. Brilliant.
You got to be very careful though, especially when buying Mega Drive or Genesis carts. Yeah. While recording this, I'm just looking on eBay, and there are some dodgy $10 cartridges, and they've got 1-star rating, so something's off there. And I'm looking at the box art, and it doesn't match what I'm holding in my hand. So
yeah, you got to be careful of reproduction carts.
They're reproduction.
With CEX as well, they've been printing game labels off and just sticking them in and not telling people. So you got to be careful of that as well.
Well,
I can't believe they're allowed to do that.
Well, they don't. They don't do that at all. What they do now, there's a little bit in the corner that said reprinted label. It does actually tell you.
As long as it tells you, that's the happy, sort of medium. Yeah.
And it's not against the law either. Yeah.
I would actually rather that they did reproduce the cover if they didn't have it. At least then they're giving you something to look at. But again, as long as they're telling you that that's not an authentic cover.
They have to do it with BBFC titles. I don't know if, Brian, you're aware of the BBFC at all. The ratings on games and videos in the UK, it's age ratings. They have to do it by law. They have to reprint them. It's actually a legal requirement.
So that's the background story for them reproducing them.
Yeah. But they're so obviously reprints as well. They're like done on A4 paper and stuff. I just wouldn't buy them personally. You can just buy a normal version. Just choose a different one.
Since Spacies.